When you think about buying a home, the first numbers that come to mind are the sale price and maybe the down payment. But where people struggle the most after getting their credit in tip-top shape is getting past the closing table. So when you have seen the one, how much do you need to purchase the home? What are the hidden costs, closing fees, taxes, inspections? What is all of that? So today I want to share with you the real cost of buying a home in Pennsylvania. First up, every loan type has a different down payment requirement. I still see this when I'm playing around on Pinterest, about 20% down. You don't need 20% down anymore. Is it nice? Yes. Is it necessary? No. Next, you need to know your loan type, because your loan type will determine what your minimum down payment is. For FHA, it's 3.5%. For conventional, it's 3%. And VA and USDA can be as low as 0 down payment. I want you to also keep in mind that when using FHA or conventional, there will be a monthly premium if you are putting down less than 20%. But this does go away after you reach the 20%. Next, taxes and fees. The transfer tax in Lehigh Valley is 2%. Generally, 1% is paid by the seller and 1% is paid by the buyer. Transfer taxes are fees on real estate transactions where a property's title or deed is transferred from a seller to a buyer. This is why when it's transferred to a family member, sometimes you'll see the transfer price as low as $1 because they don't want to pay transfer taxes, okay? Then there are the city, county, and school taxes. When you buy a home, you are responsible for the property taxes from the closing date. The seller has to cover the property taxes from the beginning of the year up until the day before closing. When the home is purchased, the buyer is charged with the seller's tax liability for the rest of the year, and the seller gets to take a credit because they'll no longer be in the property. At closing, the lender will create and fund the escrow account, which will be used to pay the property taxes in the future. The amount needed in the escrow account will depend on how far into the year the purchase was made. If the closing takes place at the beginning of the year, more money will be needed to cover the property taxes. This is all determined by the lender, and it can vary based on what time of year you buy the home. But 15 months is a good rule of thumb. Now I want to talk to you about fees. This is why it's really important that you ask your lender when you're pre-approved to give you an idea of the closing costs so you have an estimate of their fees up front. They may tell you they need a property, an address to give you that estimate, and if they do, just give them one off of your favorite app. But many lenders charge different fees. There's a loan origination fee or an application fee, a credit report fee, a processing fee, an underwriting fee. They all word them differently, but they have fees, and these fees can add up to around $1,800. Everybody's different. So let's go low, kind of right in the middle, and say $1,500. $1,500 for your lender fees. Title. Now this one may be new to some of you because it's called title. In Pennsylvania, we use a title agency. Some other states use closing attorneys, but here, just like with a car, there is tags, title, and insurance. Same thing with a home. You definitely want to buy a home with a clean title. That means that no one else can say they own it or that there are any debts attached to it. I was working with a buyer last year, and when we ran title, we found that there were more debts on the property than what the buyer was actually paying. That ended up being a mess, but that's why it's important to get clean title. So as a buyer, you don't assume those debts with the property. If you want to get an estimate for title insurance, just be sure to Google title insurance in PA, and it will just ask you like the purchase price of the home, what you're putting down, some other stuff like that, but that will give you a good estimate. Another section of fees is called prepaid and prorations. First one is insurance. If you are buying a home with a mortgage, the lender will require you insure the property. Just like with a car, they want to be sure that the asset can be replaced to full value. And even when your mortgage is paid off and you don't owe anybody, you probably still want to protect your asset and be insured. This will likely be a year's worth, but some lenders request a little more, so I like to guesstimate 15 months just to be safe. I'd rather you have too much money when it's time to close than not enough. The average insurance on a $350,000 home here, which is about the average right now, is about $100 a month. Obviously, bigger homes will have more value and they will require more insurance, so the insurance rate will be a little higher. And something else that is prorated is the mortgage. Something that you might not know is when you close, you will skip a mortgage month. So say, for example, you close on June 15th. You won't pay a mortgage until August, which is nice because you generally need that month to get adjusted to everything, right? If you close on the 15th, you have to pay the prorated mortgage interest from the 16th to the end of the month. Your lender will only charge you for the days that you will be the owner. If you move into a community with an HOA, consider there could be an initial transfer fee. There always is, but some also hold escrow. So I would guesstimate the two of them together at about 6 months of HOA dues. That should get you covered. Each one is different. I wish I could, I had a crystal ball, but I don't. But I want to, give you a good guesstimate, okay? Now, outside the transaction fees, there are a few other expenses you should be prepared for. I always recommend a home inspection. This has been waived a lot in the last few years with the multiple offer home situations going on, but a home inspection can really be beneficial in saving buyers money up front. And just because something comes back on the inspection, it doesn't necessarily mean you don't buy the home. Now you have the opportunity to negotiate with the sellers. Honestly, the home inspection should pay for itself in teaching you some tips and tricks about the home. Home inspection costs range based on the size of the home. There are also add-ons to the home inspection. You could add on a radon, pool inspection, termite, septic. You can shop around for the best price. I guesstimate between $500 and $900 for inspections. Now, because of new laws, buyers are responsible for their buyer's agent fee. For the most part, we have seen that sellers are still paying some, if not all, of the fees for buyer agents to bring them qualified buyers, and that has been nice. But you should absolutely plan to pay your buyer's agent. In Pennsylvania, the washer, dryer, and refrigerator are not included with the sale, but they can be negotiated. Each sale is different. Another rule of thumb in Pennsylvania, anything attached, so curtain rods, light fixtures, TV mounts, those things stay with the home unless specifically included. I've seen it where a rose bush was excluded, that they were going to dig up the rose bush and take that with them. So you never know. Being informed helps you negotiate, plan, and avoid surprises. And when you can, always build in a cushion for those unexpected repairs and expenses that always seem to pop up. I just updated my buyers and sellers guides, and I do have an example of an ALTA, A-L-T-A, an ALTA settlement statement in each. The ALTA is a document you receive from the title agency before closing, which details all of your fees and expenses to close. And a portion of it comes from your lender. Another reason to get that estimate of closing costs from your lender so you are one step ahead. If you would like to receive a copy of my guides, shoot me an email or make a request on my website, and I'm happy to send it to you. My contact information is always below the video and also in the pinned comment. If you're considering buying, I would love to be your realtor. My name is Tiffany Nelson. I'm a realtor here in the Lehigh Valley. If you or someone you know needs a realtor, I would love to hear from you. If you want to get an estimate for title, just Google Lehigh Valley, and this is a motorcycle. I'm giving my spiel. Respect me.